Hello, you're watching ARIRANG News Break on this Tuesday, June 7th. I'm Handaeun in Seoul. We start at the National Assembly. The first special session of the 20th Assembly got underway this morning with a number of key positions still vacant. The ruling and opposition parties have been unable to reach agreement over which party lawmaker should take the prized National Assembly Speaker seat and the seats of major standing committees. The Speaker has to be selected by today and the heads of 18 standing committees by Thursday. The minor opposition People's Party suggested each party put a candidate forward and have the Assembly vote. But the Saenuri Party rejected that idea since it lost its parliamentary majority in the April general election. The new Assembly is now being dubbed the Ghost Parliament with major seats unfilled, and it's likely to stay that way for quite some time as the ruling and opposition parties appear far from ironing out their differences. There's been controversy and a number of contrasting remarks, but Seoul and Washington appear to be deep into discussions on the deployment of a U.S. missile defense system called THAAD to South Korea. The two allies are now reportedly looking into where to place the powerful weaponry. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
The Pentagon says South Korea and the United States have made considerable progress in their negotiations over the deployment of the THAAD missile defense system to the south. Spokesman Peter Cook said the two allies just have an unspecified number of complicated issues to iron out. Sources in Seoul say the two governments are already discussing possible candidate sites in South Korea. They include U.S. military bases and mountainous areas away from towns and cities. There's speculation an official announcement could be made during the annual South Korea-U.S. Defense Ministers meeting in Washington in October. In an interview with CNN on Monday, South Korean Defense Minister Han Min-koo said the THAAD deployment would drastically increase the allies' capacity to counter North Korea's missile threats. The start of negotiations was made public soon after Pyongyang conducted its fourth nuclear test and long-range ballistic missile launch earlier this year. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
Now to the latest on the U.S. presidential race. Hillary Clinton now has enough delegates to win the Democratic nomination. If she officially becomes the nominee, it would represent a historic moment in U.S. politics, as she'll be the first woman in the 240-year history of the country to be named the presidential candidate of a major political party. Our Kim Jong-soo has more.
Hillary Clinton has secured 2,383 delegates, enough to give her the Democratic Party nomination, which would make her the first woman to top the presidential ticket of either political party. According to an Associated Press count released Monday night, the former U.S. Secretary of State has 1,812 pledged delegates and 571 superdelegates. Pledged delegates are won through primaries and caucuses, while superdelegates are not obligated to vote for any candidate and can switch at any time. But the historic news does not come without controversy. Clinton's rival Bernie Sanders said she has not won the nomination with certainty, as the superdelegates cannot vote until the party convention in July. Sanders has said he will keep fighting through the 6 states that go to the polls on Tuesday, including California. The AP report says, however, it is no longer possible for Sanders to amass enough delegates to catch up. Kim Jong-soo, ARIRANG News.
And staying in the U.S., the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve has once again indicated that a rate hike could be on the horizon. In her final public speech ahead of a Fed meeting next week, Janet Yellen said if incoming data remains consistent with their objectives, further rate hikes would be appropriate. Kim Min-ji has more on that.
Could a U.S. rate hike be in the works? Speaking at the World Affairs Council in Philadelphia, Fed Chair Janet Yellen said positive forces supporting employment growth and higher inflation will continue to outweigh the negative ones.
If incoming data are consistent with labor market conditions strengthening and inflation making progress toward our 2% objective, as I expect, further gradual increases in the federal funds rate are likely to be appropriate and most conducive to meeting and maintaining those objectives.
Yellen admitted May job figures were disappointing, but said it would be wrong to put too much significance on a single report. She also noted the uncertainties facing the U.S. economy, such as slower demand and productivity, as well as inflation, which could change the Fed's course of action. On top of that, she said Britain voting to leave the European Union would have significant economic repercussions.
So an important question is whether the U.S. economy could continue to make progress amid fairly considerable global bumpiness. I continue to think that the answer to that question is yes, but the weak investment performance in recent months is concerning, and Friday's employment report provides another reminder that the question is still relevant.
Yellen's remarks come ahead of a two-day Fed meeting scheduled to start next Tuesday. However, she did not give an exact time frame for a rate hike, in contrast to her speech last month when she said the Fed will accommodate one in the coming months. The U.S. Central Bank raised rates in December of last year after almost a decade of near zero rates. Kim Min-ji, ARIRANG News.
Korea has called for a formal investigation into Nissan Korea for allegedly manipulating vehicle emissions tests. The Environment Ministry on Tuesday filed a criminal complaint against Nissan Korea CEO Takehiko Kikuchi. It also fined the Japanese car maker $286,000. In addition, the ministry ordered a recall of 814 Qashqai SUVs sold from November 2015 to May this year and suspended future sales of the model. The SUV's emissions management system allegedly turns off automatically under regular driving conditions at temperatures over 35 degrees Celsius. By turning off the device, fresh air cannot enter the engine compartment, emitting more nitrogen oxide. And that wraps up this edition of ARIRANG News Break. Thank you for watching. Stick around for more news updates coming up at 6 p.m. Korea time.